Have you ever felt that feeling like you're falling behind? That there's some new skill you should know, but you just have no idea where to even begin? Well, today we're going to break down that entire process. We're giving you a practical blueprint for building any skill you need step by step. First, let's just lay down the ground rules of the modern workplace. Because there's a huge challenge that has, well, it's pretty much changed the game for everyone, no matter what your job title is. And this gets right to the heart of it. Your job title? That might stay the same for years, but the actual skills you need to be great at that job, they are changing faster than ever before. The software you used last year is already getting an update, and the techniques that worked yesterday might be totally obsolete tomorrow. So in that kind of world, this constantly shifting environment, where does real, genuine confidence actually come from? If you can't rely on just knowing everything anymore, then what's the alternative? This right here, this is the big mindset shift. Real confidence today isn't about having this massive library of knowledge already stored in your head. It comes from having a reliable process for building new skills. It's the power to look at something totally unfamiliar and think, okay, I don't know this yet, but I know exactly how to learn it. All right, so before we dive into the practical steps, we've got to clear up a really common misconception. This is a mental trap that stops most people before they even start. Just look at this distinction. On one side, you've got knowledge. That's all about consuming information, reading books, watching tutorials, understanding the theory. But on the other side, you've got skill, and that is about being able to actually do the thing. You can watch hours of videos on how to become a better public speaker, but that alone won't make you one. Skills aren't built by just passively watching, they are forged in the fire of actually doing. And that brings us to the absolute engine of this entire framework. Seriously, if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, make it this. Everything else we're going to talk about is just designed to support this one central idea. This quote on the slide just says it all. Skills are built by doing the skill, then refining. It's not about watching, it's not about reading, it's about doing. You have to actually draft that email, write the piece of code, sketch the design, and then you work to make it better. That's where the real learning happens. So how do we actually put doing into practice? Well, it's a simple, repeatable loop. First, you produce something small and real. We're not talking a massive project here, just one tangible piece of work. Second, you get a critique. This could be from a peer, a mentor, or hey, even an AI. And third, you take that feedback, you refine your work, and then you repeat the whole cycle. That's it. That is the core of building any skill. Okay, so that produce, critique, refine loop, that's your engine. Now let's talk about the turbochargers. These are what we call skill accelerators. They don't replace the core practice, but man, do they make every cycle of that loop way more powerful and efficient. We're going to cover 3 different accelerators. Each one is designed to target a different part of your learning, from clarifying your thinking all the way to improving your judgment in the moment. So let's break them down. First up is the explainer path. The goal here is pretty simple. Try to explain the skill to someone else. Just the act of doing that forces you to clarify your own thinking. It makes you pinpoint the logic behind the steps and really, truly understand what separates good work from bad work. Next, we have the Socratic path. Now, this one isn't about facts. It's about self-diagnosis. It's about asking yourself those probing questions that reveal your blind spots. What assumptions am I making here? Or where could my judgment go wrong? This is all about improving the quality of your own reasoning as you do the skill. And finally, there's the retrieval path. Think about any skill for a second. It's made up of dozens of tiny little decisions. When you're writing code, which function do you use? When you're negotiating, what's your opening offer? This path is about isolating those key decision points and practicing them so you can build the confidence to make the right choice when you're under pressure. All right, so that's all the theory. Now let's make this really concrete. We're going to take this entire framework, the core path and those accelerators, and we're going to apply it to a modern skill that is super relevant right now. We're going to use this framework to build the skill of AI prompting. And this is not just about typing a question into a chatbot. This is the real skill of giving an AI the perfect context so you get a high-quality, useful result back instead of just some generic junk. This slide shows the skill in action perfectly. The before is what most people do, write an email. And the result? It's going to be generic and probably useless. But now, look at the after. This is the result of applying the skill. We've given the AI a role, senior comms manager, a clear purpose, an audience, and specific constraints. The output you'll get from this prompt is going to be a million times better. And that is the real secret here. Getting better at prompting isn't about writing longer prompts. It's a skill that's all about clarifying your own intent. It forces you to actually think through your audience, your purpose, and your constraints before you even start. So, let's put this all together. What does this framework actually mean for you, day to day? It gives you a completely new and honestly a much more powerful mindset about how you learn. Look, this framework isn't some magic wand for effortless instant mastery. That stuff doesn't exist. What it is a reliable map. It gives you confidence because you know exactly how to start, you know what to practice, and you know how to get better. It replaces that fear of the unknown with a clear plan of action. In a world where skills are always changing, this ability to deliberately and effectively build new skills is no longer just a nice to have. It is a fundamental professional capability, every bit as important as communication or project management. It's how you stay relevant and effective. So we're going to leave you with this question. You now have the blueprint, that core path of practice and the accelerators to make it even more effective. The only thing left to decide is, what skill will you build first?